Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another course member live stream. All right, so today we have a little bit of a disaster going on in the treasuries market. That's the big story today. Well, in addition to China's new retaliation against Donny T in the United States, 84% tariffs, some minor tariffs from Europe. I talked about this in the Alpha report, so don't want to go into it too deep. But what I do want to look at is what's going on with the potential for some sold puts potentially on TLT because of this sort of blowing up of certain banks or hedge funds or whatever's happening because of the basis trade. I wonder, well, I did notice that volatility on TLT is exceptionally high, which is interesting because it could make sold puts somewhat desirable on TLT contracts. So we'll see. It doesn't look like pricing's up yet right now. So once the market opens in a couple minutes, we'll take a look at some pricing on TLT puts. And the idea there would be sold puts, which would, in my opinion, which would be the bullish direction. Of course, if you are more bearish and you owned some TLT options, you could always sell calls. But I think in this environment, sell puts are more desirable. So we'll take a look at those. As far as the market, I think a lot of the market today is going to wait for a reaction on Donald Trump. So it's a little bit harder to say, you know, Monday, obviously, and Tuesday were, in my opinion, a little easier to call. But I'm just looking at Truth right now, Truth Social, for Donald Trump's reaction, because we usually get some entertainment over there, which we just don't have just yet in terms of a response to China. But we'll be watching very closely for that because that, I think, is going to be the dictator of the direction today. You know, we want to see what ends up happening with Donald. So anyway, with that, looks like we got the bell coming up here, and we'll just go ahead and ring it. Ding, 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 ding. And Kevin's the bell for you. And let's go take a peek at what ends up going on here in the market. Again, I'm looking at those sold puts potentially on TLT, thanks to some of this crazy either bank or hedge fund volatility that happened overnight. And it is something that, you know, there is serious talk about the Federal Reserve potentially creating some form of facility for providing Treasury market liquidity. This would not be a form of Fed capitulation, so it's important to remember that. The Fed providing some form of emergency Treasury market support is something that we've seen previously. Even going back to 2019, we've seen this as just an example. It is not necessarily anything more than just filling the role of what broker-dealers can't anymore because of regulatory restrictions or otherwise, or just straight-up capital restrictions. So definitely very different from lowering rates. I do think people have the impression that the Federal Reserve is going to have to, you know, step in and bail out, you know, markets with some form of significant rate reduction. But I don't think that the Federal Reserve needs to do that. It's a different kind of issue that's going on in the Treasury market. Anyway, so let me take a peek and see if we've got option pricing open here. So TL Tizzles options. Not quite yet. All right, well, might just take a few minutes then for some option pricing to show up on that. All right, no problem. But otherwise, absent some big response from Trump so far, it actually seems like markets are absorbing the drama of the counter tariffs from China pretty well. Let's see. I see. Okay, Scott Bessent with his usual optimism, which is good. You know, you want somebody who's optimistic in the position. Scott Bessent says he envisions a deal with the U.S. allies that would lay the groundwork for a collective approach on China. It's an interesting way to argue that, hey, you know, we'll respond to China's 84% tariffs after we make a deal with everybody else. It sort of ramps up the pressure for a deal to be done in all of the other countries. Anyway, okay, cool. So, yeah, Q's right now at 416, 14 rather. You're in no man's land here. So either of these numbers here are in play. There's really no solid indicator in terms of which way that's going to be today. You know, sometimes you get that on days. Some trading days, it's like, oh yeah, okay, no, this is way overextended or this is way oversold. Don't really have that today. Actually feels sort of relatively balanced, and we don't have any good lines to play off here. Tesla on 221 looks like it's heading over to 230. And yeah, I mean, you could see yesterday how the lines were played out. We talked about this yesterday in the Course Member Live. We talked about how watch for a rejection at 250. Specifically said that somewhere within the first 10 minutes of the open yesterday. And so you could go back if you wanted to see that in the Course Live yesterday. I said, really, what you want to watch for is a rejection at 250. And when we got that rejection at 250, which you had for, what? That's 18 to... You had for about 23 minutes. 23 minutes of testing the 250 line. And when that failed, look at what happened. You fell not just to the 230. You fell all the way down to the 218 line with a bounce on 221 just for flair. That's incredible. So it shows you these lines are working, and it's bizarre. Look at the right at the 230 is where we ended up settling in the pre-market. And I wouldn't be surprised if that ends up being some form of a resistance today. Unless, again, we get some kind of real bullish news. Like, hey, I've made a deal with China. All right, we'll see. Okay, cool. Then let's take a look at some of the questions y'all have. Oh, let me quickly again see. Did we get options? Options? Nope, not yet. All right. Fine then. Fine. All right. Let's go do some questions and cover whatever is on your minds. Okay, good. So, a few minutes into market open here. All right. Okay, so, yeah, if you're asking about the 10-year, I just explained it at the beginning of the video, so maybe scroll back to the beginning. Jose says, PayPal super cheap. Any idea what? Yeah, you know, I think PayPal, I was thinking about that too yesterday. A lot of people are like, oh, Kevin, look at PayPal. You know, one of the problems that you have longer term with PayPal is I feel like they've lost some of their competitive edge where, you know, companies, interestingly, like Robinhood, could actually end up taking market share from PayPal. And I think that's what they're trying to do with you know, send payments to other people through the Robinhood app. It's kind of brilliant. You know, I think PayPal has just lost its sizzle. Hey, if you could do it through the Robinhood app where you're already investing or borrowing or you have cash savings, you know, why do it through PayPal? You know, can you even buy money markets on PayPal? I don't know if you can. Maybe you can. Maybe they've added that. But that would be an interesting comparison to look at. You know, when you have your money sitting in PayPal, are you earning a yield? You know, can you do anything with that money? Be interesting. So, SVXY, okay, calls any good option. Yeah, I mean, so you're asking for VIX plays. Hold on a second. Let's see what's going on here for a second.
84% retaliation from the Chinese overnight, and now we're getting a retaliation from the European Union. Just in the past couple of moments, the European Union approving tariffs on about $23 billion worth of American goods in retaliation for President Trump's tariffs on the EU. Some of these tariffs, there's an extensive product list here, which I won't go through, but some of these tariffs do appear to be sort of politically targeted to hit certain agricultural products and other things in the United States.
Yeah, we kind of already covered this.
States or the states closest to American political figures. So no comment from the White House. I just spoke to some folks in the West Wing. No comment from the White House yet on the Chinese retaliation or this new...
Right. That's what we're honestly looking for is what Trump is going to lash out with when it comes to China. I think he's going to be pissed. I think that's your red flag today. Watch what happens with Trump, because if Trump lashes out, everything tanks fast. We'll see. So far as Truth Social is, this is a great time to buy DJT. And be cool. Everything is going to work out well. The USA will be bigger than ever before. Oh gosh. Why does that almost feel like some level of like panic. It's like, all right, everybody, be calm. This is an emergency. Don't panic. Nobody knows cool better than Donald. Oh, man. So anyway, regarding volatility plays like Svexy, the challenge with these is guessing which way you think the VIX is going to go. You know, like, obviously it's pretty high. So there's some thought about making a bet on volatility falling. But volatility can stay elevated for a while. You know, sometimes people will oversimplify volatility, and volatility is quite complicated in that you could oversimplify to make this argument that, oh, okay, just buy stocks anytime you're above a 40 or whatever on the VIX. The problem with that is, you know, we were above a 40 on the VIX on the 4th, and a lot of stocks are a lot lower today than where we were then. And it's possible that we not only stay above the VIX or above VIX 40 for a while, but that we move even higher. I mean, if this basis trade disaster that's creating all the problems with the 10-year and the 30-year with long bonds, if that spills over to some form of lending freeze or credit event, well, then you're in a situation where the VIX is likely to move very high, very substantially. So, but anyway, take a look at this. It looks like the Q's just really popped off here all of a sudden, which was interesting because, yeah, look at that. It was starting to fall, and then just in the last 2 minutes, you get a little bit of a pop-up here. And the only thing we got was, it's a great time to buy DJT from Donald. DJT. Hey, look at that. He can pump his stock. Oh. They need some liquidity, it sounds like. So, very interesting. Yeah, look at that. His DJT call out seems to be encouraging some trading. But in addition to that, Tesla's right at 230 right now. Watch this for a breakout. 4% day so far on Tesla. That's actually pretty good. Very green. Apple's nicely green. You've got Palantir up 3.5. Robinhood up a couple. Let's see here. Yeah, did we get options yet? What's with the pricing? What's going on with that today? Might take. Sometimes it takes the full 15. It's kind of lame. Anyway, okay. What else is Trump saying? Great time to buy DJT. Be cool. Everything's going to work out well. It's a bizarre thing to say right now. Fixing trade and tariffs is a good thing. Jamie Dimon on Maria's show. Well, yeah, but I think he means getting rid of the tariffs. But okay. Republicans, it is more important now than ever that we pass this one big, beautiful bill. The USA will soar like never before. An hour ago. Make America great again. This is an hour ago. This is a great time to move your company into the United States, like Apple and so many others. In record numbers are doing it. Zero tariffs. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know about that. But all right. Hey, look at that. The Qs are almost up 2% now. So remember what we mentioned, you know, from no man's land, you could really go in either direction. Nice stop here in terms of rejection line would be 431. Now, 431 will actually, I don't want to play a call up to there because I don't like playing from no man's land. But at 431, I think a put could potentially become desirable on a day play, mostly because I think Donald Trump is going to lash out at China, and it could create some real nervousness. So, hey, if you're looking for a trade, let this extend a little bit. Because if this extends up to 430, 431, it's going to be up quite a bit. It's going to be up, what, 3-ish%? A little more than 3%? And those are rare numbers. You know, you usually don't get those sort of moves absent really bear markets. Bear markets, you get these really aggressive down moves, really aggressive up moves, the bear market rallies. The bear market rallies are some of the most entertaining rallies, and you have some of the biggest moves to the upside. But yeah, starting a play here in the middle of no man's land is not desirable for me. All right, somebody here says, China's retaliation on tariffs is useless. Chinese people will import goods via Hong Kong, which has zero tax. Well, I mean, sure, there'll be some sort of rerouting of trade. I do think logistically it's complicated to just say, oh, we're not going to use any of the sort of ports of entry around other portions of China that are normally used. So I don't think rerouting trade is as simple as it seems. And there will obviously also be some supervision in trying to find tariff evasion. This is very common as well. So I don't think it's as simple as saying nobody's going to have to pay those tariffs because everybody's going to try to reroute. Of course, people are going to try to, but that's easier on smaller products and harder on larger products. So I'm very curious to see how things go with like Tesla exports, for example, out of the Chinese market. Specifically, CATL batteries, coming to the United States for Tesla assembly. That I'm very interested in, because CATL batteries, they're large, they're hard to use as a tool to evade sanctions. They're coming straight from China to the United States. We don't make cheap batteries like that here. The CATL batteries have gotten very good. They used to have a bad reputation. They've gotten very good. And so, these are going to be real problems. And I think that's one of the reasons Kimball is freaking out. He's sort of like become Elon's sounding board. Bailey Mack says, trust me, bro, Trump. Kevin dodging an end phase? What do you mean dodging an end phase? Oh, I see. Okay, I just see it now. You're spamming end phase. Oh, okay. Well, that makes me less interested in giving you an end phase update. I mean, we've said the same thing about end phase for a very long time. The end phase is extremely cheap and does well in an interest rate falling environment. It's trading for well under one peg. It's a fantastic company with high margins. The problem is, in a high interest rate environment, it's undesirable to buy energy plays. And also in a falling oil and price environment, sometimes it's even harder to play against lower energy prices from fossil fuels. So you have serious headwinds in addition to recessionary concerns that, I've said, and I'll say again, could move end phase back into the 30s, which is crazy because we didn't see it since COVID. And it's one of the reasons why I haven't been interested in really buying, well, frankly, anything. Because, what I'm waiting for. We got to wait for a real poopy-doopy Fed capitulation or confirmation we're not going to go into a recession. But, other than that, there's not much you can really say about end phase. It's unfortunate because they're stuck in a little bit of a rough cycle. In addition to that, they are insulated through their use of contract manufacturing, much like NVIDIA is. NVIDIA uses contract manufacturing as well, whereas Restoration Hardware does not. They have some manufacturing in North Carolina, as well as they import a lot, from Asian markets. So let's see here. Okay. How's that question? For the yield payouts, will everything be done electronic or will we be getting physical checks? Ew. Yeah, no, it's just an ACH. It's like a direct deposit. How does it work when it's 401k money? Yeah, it just goes into that account. And show up as cash, and then you could deploy it there. It's sort of like a dividend, right? So as far as how's that? I haven't looked at it recently, but I think we're coming up on like $3.5 million or whatever in the last sort of like 12 days or whatever we've been fundraising, which in this environment is actually pretty fantastic. It's really a sign that people are diversifying, and I think people recognize what our plan is, and appreciate the opportunity to diversify to real estate, and basically buy the dip in real estate, when we're ready to, probably end of this year, depending on where we sit with recession timing. If we need to delay that a little bit, we will. So it'll be really interesting. See what happens there. CPI report is tomorrow. The CPI tomorrow, a make or break moment, I think. So that's gonna be March. That's gonna be pre tariffs though. So, like, if it's low, people will just go, "Oh, it's pre tariffs," and if it's high, people are just gonna go, "Ah, it's because people are front running tariffs." So I do wonder how much it actually will matter tomorrow. That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. If I had to guess, I would actually lean towards it won't matter much. I think really what matters the most right now is resolving tariffs, because these are frankly recession-inducing tariffs. You don't get a bad CPI report and go, "Oh my gosh, we're going into a recession." Like, you get the worst trade war in 100 years, and you get worried about going into a recession. So, I don't think Robinhood lets you do self-directed Roths, but I don't know. You'd have to check. I doubt it. Probably have to use directed IRA. So, yeah, no, I do know there's a bond auction today. I know you are waiting to nibble, but what if tariffs resolves? You still waiting? Well, I gave the conditions yesterday, and it's not a matter of nibbling. It's a matter of buying. It's like I'm either going to buy stocks or I'm not going to buy stocks. And right now I'm in the not buy stocks. There's no nibble. There's either you have a full recession and a Fed capitulation, or you have a complete resolution of tariffs and confirmation that there's no recession. And we don't, like, even if we resolve tariffs at this moment, we don't know that we're safe from a recession. Like, you can't really mark yourself safe yet on Facebook because you're still in it. You're still in the poops. So we'll see. We are going to get a new Atlanta Fed GDP report today. That's usually not like a tradable catalyst, but it is something to pay attention to. Let's see here. Still not out, but it does come out today. So we'll see. That'll be interesting. Okay. So I'm just going to refresh our truth over here. Truth Social. Oh. Where's, there we go. Donald. The one person I follow on Truth. I don't want any of the other stuff. Nope. Nothing other than great time to buy DJT. Yeah, I think it's so interesting that you could have a president use their platform and just blatantly pitch their own stock. I find that very interesting. It's almost like, if Trump gave speeches, be like, y'all should stay in the big, beautiful hotels. Always choose Trump, okay? Anytime you go somewhere, choose a Trump hotel. It seems like you shouldn't be allowed to do that. But then again, Trump has his own POVs. So, is there potential other countries go into recession before the United States? Sure. I mean, parts of Europe are already in a recession. I mean, look at Germany, for example. Pretty sure you've had a couple negative quarters already of GDP. Somebody says, lots of damage already being done. Imagine if tariffs say, right. Well, that's exactly right. Yeah. Would you ever buy physical gold? Probably not. The problem with physical gold is, you have to secure it. So, like, what if your house burns down? And, the fire lasts long enough to melt your safe. And then, good luck finding it in the rubble of a house. People lose a lot of possessions in fires because it's so hard to go through the rubble. It's so hard. I've tried to help people do it before. I mean, you're looking at 3 feet deep of rubble. It's so nasty. and so dangerous. So, then there's also the risk of loss when you're moving. There's the risk of theft. You have to pay a premium to have it minted. So now you're paying premium for gold. It's quite undesirable to me. I understand the idea of like, oh my gosh, but what if the world ends and the banking system collapses? Yeah, I don't know. That's not something I want to stock up on gold bars for. Like, it's gonna be hard for me to sell those anyway. I'd have to really use gold coins. I mean, coins. I don't see it. I guess I wouldn't see a massive downside of having, some coins. Not a very big portion of the portfolio, but at least you have. I suppose if you really had sort of the doomsday worry about some barterability, some 1 ounce coins could be acceptable, but I generally don't like it because I have a feeling the odds of you losing it or your family losing it are much higher than you actually using it. So I generally don't like that. That's a good question though. So, all right, let's see what else is going on over here. So we got the queues. Look at this no man's land we're in. This is what I'm saying. Like, how do you trade this? You're stuck in no man's land. Anybody who bought calls got, trapped out over here, and now people are begging for the calls again, and you end up getting trapped out again. It's just a little bit messy today. It's probably because markets are just tenuous. Oh my gosh, what's Trump gonna do? The Chinese. But hey, Tesla's sitting on the 230 line. That's actually quite bullish for Tesla. Good for them. And the DJT pump faded a little bit. Curious to see when this opens again. If we can get... Honestly, this tariff war could create a really big discount at Cirrus. You've already seen some of it. But I don't think this pricing has updated yet. Yeah, this was yesterday's close. So this pricing does not yet reflect the 84% Chinese tariff drama on U.S. goods. And so Cirrus Planes are, I think, smack dab in the middle of this tariff war. And this stock could fall a lot more. This, I think, if this stock falls even more, sub $15, this could be a glorious buying opportunity. Like, really nice. That would be sub, 3 USD or whatever. 3 or 4 USD, something like that. Depends where we stand with all the currency manipulation. Oh, yeah, interested in the TLT sell put. Right. Okay, so the idea here... There we go, pricing's out. The idea here is that you could go out, honestly, probably for quite a while, because of this basis trade disaster. You go out to, like, January of 2026 on sell puts, and just go, like, at the money. Because the put pricing is so high today. Or you could honestly even go, let's see, where's the volume? 85. That's at the money. Let's go 90. I like the spreads here. Very tight, 10 cents. 10 cents over here as well, 15 cents here. Can't get down to 5? No. All right. So, $2. No, I don't want to do that. Go like here. Go roughly at the money, as an example. It was 18,000 positions. All right. So here, you're getting 590. What's your yield? 590 divided by 87. You get about 6.7%. Not that great. Yeah, not that wonderful. At the money. Probably because markets don't actually think it's going to stay this low. So, what if you go... Let's see, I earned 50 cents. I'm only earning 50 cents to really go out of the money. Every dollar I go out of the money, I'm only earning 50 cents. which isn't as great. But your yield is certainly higher over here. You know, if you go to 95, you're exceeding 10%. But you know, probably somewhere around here is fine. But this is an interesting. How much are you making on a 72? Usually the volatility is so low on these, and I think that's why the yield is just relatively small right now on this play. 3.25, because this is just a premium collection play, right? Yeah, that's only 3.7% going out to June for 72 days. It's just, it's higher than usual, way higher than usual, but it's not as juicy as I was hoping it was going to be. You know, now if you went ridiculous and you said, oh, you know, it's definitely going to go down. There's no way rates are going higher than this. You know, you go to $88 here, and now you're getting about 10%. But that's Jan 27. And I don't want to hold cash secured puts that long. It ties up money unless you're, you know, risking margin. So I don't know. It's actually less desirable than I thought. Mostly because it's just not high enough of a yield for just being a yield. It's solely a yield play, right? There's way less upside. So, and then buying call options, well, I think price-wise it's desirable, volatility-wise it's elevated, but then again, maybe it's not as elevated as we thought. Like, if you look at historic volatility, TLT's off the chart right now. But that's because usually the bond market doesn't move this rapidly. Like, these basis trade issues, which we talked about at the beginning of the video and in the Alpha report, are crazy. So, somebody says, any risk with directed IRA? Worried if this is like crypto? What do you mean? Where in 5 or 10 years or longer, directed IRA has issue with. I mean, directed IRA should be SIPC insured. It has nothing to do with crypto. Yeah, directed IRA is SIPC insured, SIPC. So this isn't like some, you know, crypto company that isn't regulated or insurance. It's a normal broker dealer. It's like Robinhood. You're basically saying, oh, Robinhood's going to go bankrupt. Even if Robinhood went bankrupt, your securities are secured. But let me see what their breaking news is here.
And the S&P 500 is actually higher by 1%, which you wouldn't know by all.
Their breaking news is stocks are up. Okay. I hate it when they show those banners, and they're just really what they're doing is they're starting the next portion of their show. It's their 7 o'clock show. But look at this. So watch that 431 line. We're climbing to 431. And I think that becomes a rejectable line. That's what I'd be looking for. But, you know, be careful. When the whole day becomes bullish, you don't want to go counter trend. You really have to confirm some rejection there. And so far, Trump has been pretty quiet. And I think that's interesting. This idea of, you know, Trump just be cool, everything will work out. It's that optimism that people want to hear. Everything's going to be okay. So, yeah. Anyway, so we'll see. We'll see what rejections we get, if any, and we'll see what response we get from Trump. But that's really it in terms of trade moves today. And then tomorrow I want to get into, oh, look at that. Nice breakout here. Oh, now they're going to go breaking news again.
Got some data for us as well.
Yes, let's start out with the data. This is the February final for wholesale inventories. Mid-month read, up 0.3. It remains up 0.3 and up 0.3. Well, up 0.8 was January, to give you perspective, and the end of last year we were minus 0.7. If we look at trade sales, this is a fresh number, expecting up 0.8. Buckle up. Multiply that by 3. 2.4%, up 2.4% to find a higher number on.
Let me look at what he's talking about here, because I'm just gonna read it myself. What's he talking about? Wholesale trade sales. Yeah, of course. This is for February, as you're running up with because of tariff concerns. Of course, you're gonna see that. So wholesale trades month over month substantially higher in February. And then the next catalyst, too, is later at 11, you are going to get FOMC meetings. You've got a Treasury auction. I'm not so worried about the Treasury market. The Treasury market will stabilize. What's more concerning is what, if anything, breaks in the credit markets. Somebody's asking about credit default swaps and this. And these are like advanced instruments. Sure, you can make plays on these, but you're really going to have to know what you're doing with them. And my view is you've already seen a pretty large tick up in them. I want to say we're at the largest spread increase on credit default swaps already for, was it set? I think it's somewhere around 17 months. So anyway, we are in an environment where spreads are rapidly rising, and those are usually move with some form of substantial risk event that people are basically buying protection for. And I think people are truly worried that there's some form of shock that's going to come out of this, either basis trade or tariff disaster. That's quite likely. Remember what I said. When you get with a treasury yield between, I want to see what it is today. When you get a spread between the 2s and the 10s of between 50 to 90, you're usually primed for some form of a shock. And that's, at least yesterday, we were at a 56 spread. Let me see where we sit today. We're at 61. So, even more primed. So very interesting. So anyway, kind of see how this plays out. But anyway, we'll do some more fundy analysis tomorrow, and we can even do some real estate analysis. But I did want to break that down on some of my thoughts here as far as what's going on, not only with the basis trades on treasuries and what's going on there on TLT, but also we'll the wait and see on Trump. So very well. So that's what I've got for now, and I've got to run a little bit earlier today. So anyway, I appreciate you being here for the 40 minutes that we had, and we'll see you again later in a video, and then again tomorrow. So good luck today, and if I see a rejection over at 4:30 and I'm going to play it, I'll certainly send an alert in Discord. So thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you soon. Bye.